afternoon. Hi, boys. I just want to let everybody know, right here on these lovely streets, that these kids... Thank you for coming, guys. Could you bring the pets? So thanks so much. Ah, dear. Okay. How we start this off for you lovely people with common sense who believe in the fertility of children, who know that women don't have penises. We're going to say some of the things that you feel that you can no longer say, and we're going to watch the unemployed behind you, who are absolutely herded here by AGPs with bad wigs. We're going to remind them of the things that we know to be true, and we're going to thank each and every one of them for coming, because it's hysterical. How we start this?
They love you.
In the UK and around the world. There's literally a hijabi woman in the crowd who now can't use public facilities because there will be men in them. How absolutely ridiculous. Okay. What a day this has been. What a bad mood I'm in. Why, it's almost like being a TERF. I might get someone to go back and get my laptop. I might go back and get my laptop. I could send it to you. Okay, so the reason we're meeting here today is because these little Maoist Red Army have decided that women are not allowed to speak in the public square. And we have come to take back that public square. We are not going to be attached to some urinary leash where we feel afraid, where we can't tell our children the truth that's in front of them. You live in a country that sterilizes children. But look at these men. There are men there who've just about taken enough hormones to gather some breast tissue. That's it. They remain men. They sexually assault like men. They behave like men in every way. And these little handmaidens cheering them on have no idea what it means to be a woman. Absolutely bonkers. So, let women speak had started throughout the globe because we recognise the same threats in every country. The West Australia government talks about babies having a sexuality in their government literature. All these people here behind you are shouting that women have penises. Guys, women don't have penises. No man has a vagina. Non-binary is absolute nonsense. And transitioning children is profound abuse. I see you men in your bad wigs and your stupid sunglasses. We see you. We recognise you from a mile away, boys. It doesn't make any difference to us what you call yourself, how you dress. We understand that you're a threat, and we'd like you to stay the fuck out of our spaces. Okay, so let women speak works like this. Women come forward. You say what you need to say. You say it because you can't say it in your ordinary lives. You say it because there's this going on in your workplace. There's this going on in your classrooms. There are literally teachers whose job it is to queer the classroom. And you can step forward, you can talk about anything you like. This is Let Women Speak. That's what they've come out to try and stop you doing, is speaking. So this is called Let Women Speak, and Jesus Christ, that is what we'll do. Okay. Right, I promise you can be heard on the live stream, even if it's a bit tricky here. You'll be able to hear yourself, and we'll be able to hear you, even if you think there's a lot of interference, okay? So who would like to speak? G'day, guys.
G'day, beautiful.
It was late 2020 when I was picked by Kellie-Jay Keen in a podcast. In less than an hour, the penny dropped because of her insistence on the truth. I saw that Kelly was absolutely right to reject gender ideology, and that I had to speak up and publicly stand for women too.
Yes, stand for women. Yes.
Most people who dare to question this ideology publicly will be punished and intimidated into silence. But as Kelly said in the podcast, if I am not allowed to talk about this, then this is obviously very serious, and I must speak about it as much as I possibly can. I'm a single mother in the arts, so coming out as pro-woman has not been easy. I've been at the bottom of social media pylons. I've had TRAs try to cancel my work. I've had abusive messages from men calling me a Karen and saying they will actively prevent me getting gigs. I've actually had a lot of men tell me to shut up about my rights. It's funny that. I have to go now because my baby has woken up, but I do this for her so that she won't grow up with boys taking her places and prizes, and she won't grow up with men in her single-sex spaces. Slowly but surely, we will break this spell on society, because Kelly never loses. Thank you so much. Can I just say to anybody that's wondering, where are the women that support this movement? Where are they? They're afraid. That's where most of them are. They're at home. They're afraid because these people here, they phone your employer, they tell your friends, they shame you on social media. We get cancelled from everywhere we go just for saying that women don't have penises. So that's where the women are. So if you do feel that you want to speak the truth, that you want to live in a country where you can exercise your right of free speech, where you won't get some unemployed moron coming to try and cancel you, try and take your job, if you think that's important, the time to stand up is now. These kids would be better off in Mao's China. Thank you, Kelly. Okay, so feedback this way. Shall I turn that? Yep. Okay, so I am not anti-transgender at all. I am a mother. I am a female. Now my concern is for the kids and for female safety.
Yes.
What happens when we open up our safe spaces for transgender men? What about the creeps out there that are not transgender? They just decide to use that banner to invade our personal safe spaces. They decide to put on a wig, to put on some makeup, and hang out in your daughters or your sister's bathrooms. This is dangerous. We are not against you. We are for women's safety, okay? That we have been fighting and fighting for years and decades to have our safety, security
and our rights. This is not we are not bigots. You are misogynists, okay? And that is that. We are pro-women. Women, okay? Thank you. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you. Thank you.
Well done, you just said everything I wanted to.
Okay, thank you. Oh.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm not against transgenders. I just want to be safe in women's spaces.
Yes.
That's all I'm asking.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
Because I don't want to share my bathroom with a male. I don't think that's right. It's an invasion of privacy to all of women.
Woo!
That the society is going to allow this to happen. If you're a woman and you don't want to share a bathroom with a male, you need to speak up.
Woo! Woo! That's right, mate. That is right. Dead right.
Okay, so this is feminine speak, and because we're women, we say vaginas first. If you have a penis tucked away, but any more lovely women want to speak.
Pardon?
They even sound like children.
Oh, they are kids.
That's like what you hear in a kindergarten.
Yeah. Me too, yeah. They're kids. They're kid mentality. That's better.
Here's an extract from their website. The government is committed to advancing gender equality as a national priority and is taking a whole of government approach. So we had the whole of the Australian government imposing gender on the Australian public, on our schools, workplaces, universities, and in every government department. Universities. Gender equality, not sex equality.
Woo! Woo!
The office for women. Gender equality brings with it opportunities for men and women to thrive, making our economy inclusive. What does that mean? Well, we're not on our way towards sex equality in Australia. Why the shift to gender? I think every woman here today knows, including those women over there, that the more gender infiltrates our society, the less women thrive. Women's our sports, which have men in them, misplacing women, our jails, our spaces, and our women's groups. They go further, telling us on
Sorry, everyone.
that they are dedicated to providing quality gender advice and delivering effective policy and programs. There it is in action, right there. The Office for Women is dedicated to supplanting sex with gender. That's their business, that's what they do. So what is gender? That's what we should be asking, not what is a woman, what is gender? Our Attorney General's Department, top of the government. Gender is a part of a person's social and personal identity. It refers to each person's deeply felt internal and individual identity and the way a person presents and is recognised in the community.
So gender is purely a personal interpretation of self and relies on how you look, what clothes you wear, and how you do your hair, for example. Whereas sex, which apparently isn't a priority for the office of women, is a biological reality. It shapes our lives and our destinies. A transgender person is someone who identifies as a gender that is different to their sex. So there's only two sexes. So a transgender person is either a woman who identifies as a man or a man who identifies himself as a woman. Remembering that government is committed to advancing gender equality as opposed to sex, we can extrapolate they want men who identify themselves as women to thrive as women. I don't identify myself as a woman. That would be ridiculous. I'm already a woman because I was born female and grew into a woman. I don't need to identify myself as a woman. You all did that. You did that as soon as you saw me up here. I have an identity. It's Janet Ingalls, and that isn't a gender. Those men who identify themselves as women were born male and they grew up into men, but their sex isn't relevant anymore as far as our government is concerned. The only thing that matters is their self-declared gender. And our government even acknowledges that doesn't make them a woman, because trans person is someone who identifies as a gender that is different to their sex. But the whole of government approach is to ignore that. My advice, don't desert your political parties. Don't desert it. Flood it with women. Flood your parties with women. Make them see us. Write to your member of parliament. Join your party. Confront them with the fact sex matters. That is gender, and it is atrocious. I got kicked off Twitter for saying that. Shame. Now we're being silenced for saying that. Shame. You are ridiculous, and history will see you as ridiculous. Thank you, Kelly.
Just before you go, let me just say this. Women don't have penises. Women don't have penises! No man has a vagina. No man has a vagina. Non-binary is nonsense. Non-binary is nonsense. And transitioning children is abuse. Yes!
Thank you, Kelly. Am I in the right position? Am I in the right position, Kelly? Kelly, am I in the right position? Can you hear me? You can. Because Kelly just mentioned the police. here in South Australia and their job today. And I was hoping to get up and say thank you, police, for protecting us, to not allowing the Hector's veto. But here we are in South Australia, the first state in Australia to give women the vote. She told me to stop. Do you want me to start again? Yeah.
Can I just tell people at home we stop because there's a class of really small kids walking by. And these losers over the other side who talk about protect trans kids don't even recognise children in front of them.
Shame!
Every one of you.
Shame!
Absolutely disgusting.
Shame! So thank you for nothing, South Australian police, for giving this crowd, this mob, the heckler's veto. But thank goodness it's being filmed. So for all of you that can't hear properly today, watch it, as Kelly said, on YouTube. It's an honour and a privilege today to meet Kellie-Jay Keen and to stand before all of you, our friends, our sisters, our friends, my sisters, because you are my sisters, because we are in this battle together to fight against this pernicious, hideous ideology that is destroying women's rights and children's rights. It is scandalous. It is the biggest medical malpractice of our generation. I may shake, my voice may waver, but it is not from fear. It is not from nerves. It is from anger. Anger at these people. But the doctors say, the science says they're going to commit suicide. It's very important for them. We need to do sex-denying care, otherwise they'll commit suicide. But when, my dear sisters, have doctors ever been wrong in their history? Do we remember the lobotomies, an ice pick into the brain? Do we remember lobotomies? The psychiatrists lobotomizing people who they thought were mad. Now they're cutting off their breasts, their penises, and making them infertile. Do we remember formaldehyde, the pregnant women whose children were killed, whose children were destroyed? The government knew and yet they did nothing. We could go on, breast implants, HRT, OxyContin, but let's believe the doctors, let's believe the science. There is no science. It's the greatest medical scandal of our generation. How dare you? How dare you? They call us bigots. They call us bigots. But how dare you? How dare you? How dare you? If I talk too long, wave me down. I have 3 things I want to talk about this for today. My personal experience, my experience and views of the media, and my experience and views of those honourable politicians. I had early puberty. I got breasts in year 4 and a boy teased me. I got my period in year 5. And I was told I smelt by a boy because it was the blood. I had to go, the only woman in my school, into the toilet and put my bloody pad into a box and incinerator on the wall. I had blood pouring down my legs in year 8. Probably still the only girl at that time with her period in school. I had to wash my dress out, clean my fingers, encrusted with blood, and wear a sweater around my waist. And I can see women crying in this crowd because of that experience. And yet, where are you? Where are you? I had boys, Rundle Mole, o'clock Saturday morning surround me, screaming, "Show us your Tartars! Show us your Tartars!" A man in the Hobart, or the have a look as we like to call it here in South Australia, the have a look, grabbed me on my vagina or vulva or pussy or cunt, whatever name you want to call it. This government, these people would let that man follow me into the bathroom. These people, this government, the media, wherever you are, you cowardly media, would let these boys go into my bathroom, the one space I could clean my hands in peace. The boys that teased me, the boys that said I smelt from blood. When I gave birth and had my stomach cut open, when I had a blood transfusion after I gave birth to my babies, I was not called a pregnant person, I was called a woman. But this government would call me a pregnant person. They're telling nursing students in this state to call us pregnant people. Shame, shame, shame. Oh, and I had the misfortune of growing up when we had modern education, where we could just feel a sentence. We weren't taught about pronouns, but these guys want to bring back grammar. Who knew? Who knew? The media, the cowardly media. The media are cowards in this country. The advertiser, such a great supporter of women's rights. When they're on OnlyFans, how many articles in the advertiser? Oh, OnlyFans. And then Dean Laidley, until he was 50, he was a man. And yet, according to the advertiser, he flicks his hair and he's a woman. Yay, celebrate Dean Laidley. And then the police officer, you police officers, was that police officer disciplined for daring to say that a man should not play in the women's AFL? Was he disciplined? Because if he was, you better get onto your union. Because he did not deserve to be disciplined, nor did he deserve to be called transphobic by the advertiser. He was protecting women's and children's rights. Shame, and yet the ABC, not much needs to be said. Stan Grant, who had to be forced to invite a woman onto a panel. The Media Watch at least acknowledged the bias. But the Australian, we think we have some help with the conservative media. Kelly's been on Sky News, Catherine Daves. The Australian has luckily, or gratefully, we have to be grateful where it comes, has published an article by Colette. But have no doubt, do not be deceived, my dear sisters. The Australian editors are as cowardly as the rest of them. I'd like, if I could, to read some comments. I'm subscribed to the Australian, and for my sins, I occasionally make some comments. I'd like to read some comments, if you would indulge me, that have either been accepted or rejected. If you could, I'll read them and tell me if you think they're accepted or rejected. Okay, are we allowed to say men can't be women yet? Was it rejected or accepted? Rejected! There are two sexes, sex matters. Rejected by the Australian. Why should women have a male in their spaces? Why should the other swimmers have to change in front of Leah, who is biologically intact? Why? Did they accept that comment? No! And then, amazing how it's sports that makes this possible zenith of this madness. Not the prison assaults in England, not the waxing debacle in Canada, not the spa incident in the Los Angeles. A man who walked around naked in front of a child who was a sex offender, but the woman had to leave with her child. Continue the Orwellian speak, though. Rejected. But there's one last comment I'd like to share with you. An article about that wonderful woman, that shining example of womanhood, Leah Thomas. Such feminine strength. I said such feminine strength. Was that accepted or was that rejected? Accepted? Anyone? It was accepted! Because of course men have feminine strength. My one last topic, and thank you for indulging me. I know I'm taking a while. Shame, shame, shame. How dare you? How dare you? Heckler's veto. You do not have a heckler's veto here. We have freedom of speech still. The politicians, the honourable politicians here, Canberra, all over Australia. For those of you that may have any modicum of non-progressive education, you may have heard of Shakespeare and Julius Caesar. Well, yesterday, my dear friends, my dear sisters, my countrymen, was the Ides of March. The Ides of March. Julius Caesar was murdered a month later. And I say to you, I come not to celebrate these politicians, but to shame them. Shame the politicians. We have to shame them. We have to put the fear of God in them like these crazy people have. The Honourable, our first female Prime Minister, hallelujah. Excuse my language, but we had a first female politician, yippee! And what did she do, the Honourable Julia Gillard? She who will not be lectured by this man, this honourable man on misogyny, this honourable man who knows what a woman is. She who amended, her government amended the Sex Discrimination Act, removed our sex-based rights. She is an honourable woman. But did the men, Mrs Abbott, Turnbull, Morrison, those honourable men, did they amend the Sex Discrimination Act? No, but they are all of them honourable men, all honourable men and women. The wrong that Miss Gillard, the Honourable Miss Gillard enacted, lives long after her demise. But we have honour. We know what is morally right. We have honour and we know what is morally right. They do not. There have been very dark times for us. It is a cliche, but it is the darkest before the dawn. The line has broken, the walls have collapsed, the door has opened. But we are rebuilding the line, we are rebuilding the wall, and we will close the door and kick those men out of it. Out! Thank you. Absolute honour to meet you.
There's some kids down there using an expletive about masturbation. Apparently I'm a wanker. Can I just say, that's because all my genitals are intact. You kids want to mutilate children so they don't even have a sexual appetite. Oh dear. It's really weird to be in a country where you literally have things that can kill you. You have little spiders that can creep in shoes and kill someone, and snakes in your garden that can kill your children, and yet me, 5'1", is considered dangerous. It's absolutely hysterical. This is like one of the most dangerous countries on earth to human beings. And these kids here go and protest some spiders. Far more effective. Okay, so we're going to keep doing Let Women Speak, but just thank you guys for coming. They brought their pink, blue and white, which are amongst my favourite 3 colours. So, no woman has a penis! 2 plus 2 equals 4. No man has a vagina. 2023. Boo, 2023, boo. Non-binary is absolute nonsense. Nobody cares. children is profound child abuse. You can grow your hair long. We still know you're a man, you're a man, you're a man, and you women are bloody idiots. Caping for men that will come into your spaces to cause you harm. You're a man, you're a man. We can squat you a bloody, you're a man. We can squat you a mile off. You're a man in a bad wig. Okay, so we're going to keep women talking. Lady over here. I will win. It's inevitable that you will all lose.
Thank you for letting me speak, Kellie-Jay. I also want to thank you, Kellie-Jay.
On that, yeah? Stand up and
Up
in.
here.
That's good.
I also want to thank Kellie-Jay for her talents, her wit, and the work that she does for women's rights. I want to talk today about the noxious cult of trans wokeism and its poisonous creed. As you can see here, every religion and or cult has a creed of fantastical beliefs to which every member must subscribe. The trans creed mainly consists of slogans, or what have been called thought-terminating cliches. They are said or shouted with a confident assurance that these beliefs are self-evident. Louder? Okay. They are designed to shut down our thought processes and submit to the colonisation of our womanhood and our spaces. This colonisation is already well advanced in our governments and institutions. Probably the most well-known thought-terminating cliches are the ones that gaslight biological sex, such as trans women are women, trans women are men. Nina Paley summed it up. Biological sex is real, it's immutable, it's binary, and it's asymmetrical. This is true for all mammals, including us humans. Trans cliches demand we elevate trans feelings over biological reality. This is calculated to allow creepy men to colonise our restrooms, prisons and sports. They are aimed at weakening our sense of womanhood so that men can wear us like a costume in their awful caricatures. Their assertion that trans rights are human rights implies that they're denied rights. What rights don't they have? They can marry whoever they like. They can't be discriminated against in the workplace. What rights do they want? They want access to women's sex-based spaces and the disruption of women's boundaries. They also gaslight our language. The reason trans wokeism screams no debate is because its assertions collapse like gossamer when they're exposed to the light of day. Alongside this, trans cliches weaponise our language. When trans activists assert that words are violence, they're accusing us of assault. Words are not violence, my friends. This is a direct attack on our truth-telling. When trans activists assert that silence is violence, they mean that if you're not with them, you are against them, and you should be shouting their slogans from the mountaintops. Yet another way to shut down nuanced discussion and truth-telling. And they wash this all down with the nonsense around pronouns. Misgendering or dead-naming a trans is considered as bad as a punch. Not engaging with pronouns yourself is considered bad manners at the very least. Our language is being used and abused to compel us to affirm their narcissistic obsession that men can be women. Trans wokeism denies facts and data. They assert that we should trust the science about transitioning, as if their gender affirmation ideology has the same basis in fact, or some basis in fact. It does not. It is absolute ideology with horrific consequences for children, groomed, drugged and butchered on the altar of this cult. They hide the extent of detransitioning. The spectacular Tavistock scandal is an example. No follow-up was done on their gender experiments. They don't want this information to be public. Trans activists use statements about their lived experience and their truth to elevate anecdotes over data and assertions over evidence, more ways of shutting down truth-telling. Another strategy employed by trans wokeism is shaming the innocent. They encourage us to be kind, which is particularly appealing to women. Don't be fooled. They don't care about women. They don't want women to speak. When women speak out, trans activists threaten rape and other violence. Kill a TERF being one of their catch cries. They have no respect nor kindness for women, will turn on a dime when their trans maidens dissent, and fly into narcissistic rage when women refuse to submit. Trans wokeism defends this with their slogans that there's been bad behaviour on both sides. There just hasn't. Women speaking out is not bad behaviour. Men shouting abuse at women and threatening rape and murder is bad behaviour. Another trans cliche is their threat that we will be on the wrong side of history. Well, we'll see about that. Really go. So, who does this serve? Who does this movement serve? Not women, not children, not the large number of detransitioners that have emerged to tell their stories of trans mutilation. Given all this, moves to separate children from their gender-critical families, the moves underway to lower the age of consent and reposition paedophiles as minor attracted people, it's hard not to come to one conclusion. This powerful movement is driven by fetishistic narcissists who desire to colonise womanhood and her spaces alongside paedophiles who desire to colonise children. I am proudly a TERF since I heard about all of this. What surprises me most about this movement is the trans maidens, the handmaidens of trans. These women support trans wokeism and are some of its most ardent protagonists. I give you fair warning, trans maidens, this ideology eats its own. Let's wrestle back our language and our sex-based rights. Be a proud TERF, not an obedient, subservient trans maiden. Thank you for letting me speak. Oh, sorry.
Thank you all for coming. The little narcissist in me is so delighted that they all come. I think it's a milkshake. Would you like to come and speak? By the way, you can shout all you like, but we will let women speak! Okay, you ready? You'll be able to hear yourself.
All right.
And a few people will be able to hear you, but everyone can hear you at home. Okay? Step back.
Hi, I'm Izzy. I really didn't want to say any of this because I hate conflict and I'm used to bad things happening when my views on this get found out more widely than I had anticipated, but I think I might regret it more if I don't speak today. I lost the vast majority of my friendship group in 2017 for the terrible crimes of, one, trying to very politely explain on Facebook why some people might object to the term cis, and two, for getting caught watching Magdalene Burns videos on a shared device. Some people simply stopped talking to me, some tried to have me removed from community events, some spoke to me privately and told me they thought that I was being treated too harshly and knew I didn't hate anyone. Some agreed with me about at least one thing or had some concerns of their own, but I was asked, could I please not tell anyone that they had said that? I don't have time to tell you all the multitude of ways in which this issue has affected me, but I have been inspired by all the women and men in the UK and worldwide, including Australia, speaking their truth and making their voices heard, even when it sometimes costs them dearly. One very short story I have about trying to access health services as a same-sex attracted woman in 2018. Someone in kind of a social worker type position recommended a general practice that's here in the CBD that specifically caters to LGBT people. But when I went there, I was told they weren't taking new patients unless I had tested positive for HIV or was looking to access cross-sex hormones. In 2019, I had a housemate for 1 month who had been spending lots of time with my previous friendship group and begged me to tell them what had happened in my last share house. So I said, and this person moved out a day and a half later. To be fair, I had made the mistake of trying to pick trans them in one conversation when I had needed months to come to terms with the information I was sharing. I mentioned the prison issue to them, including the story of Karen White in the UK, because that was the most shocking but easily verified story at the time. I got told that was just one psycho and that I was tarring all trans women with the same brush. I also got called a carceral feminist. In this context, it was a pejorative for someone who is not for full prison abolition, no room for reform, unless the reform being suggested is about putting men into women's prisons. But of course, as we know, it was definitely not just one psycho. I was going to list statistics around males in... I was going to list statistics around males in women's prisons in Canada because, oh my goodness, poor Canada. But I want to keep this Australian specific. If you are interested in the prison situation in Canada, I suggest you look up Heather Mason. She's on Twitter and has done some interviews on YouTube. I was going to talk about Australian prisons, but there was too much information to sift through and put into coherent paragraphs, and I had to cut all that to keep it under 5 minutes, sorry. I also wanted to talk more about forced teaming with regards to support services for homosexuals, but I'm running out of time for that too. The last quick anecdote I had was from 2009. I was seeing a counsellor and I was told, completely unprompted, that some people feel like they were born in the wrong body, and was that an issue for me? In 2009, I can only assume that was because of my appearance. I'm going to wrap it up there. If anyone thinks I deserve to be punished or socially excluded further for anything I have said today, I really don't know what to tell you. Thank you. Who's next? Sorry.
I don't know.
Oh, she's talking to press.
Who would like to speak? No?
Put this little mic on.
Can you clip it on? There you go. Now stand back.
Hello, I don't want to shout, but I'd like to know if you can hear me. My name is Robin for today, and I'm an atheist. Stick with me. I'm going to take you on a journey. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. I think Jesus exists. I think Jesus existed, and I think he was a pretty good bloke. I think he had some excellent things to say, like love one another, don't kill anyone, and remove that giant lump of wood from your eye before pointing out the tiny bit of wood in the other person's eye. Now, my Christian friends don't hate me. My Christian friends don't assemble over here and try to stop me speaking. I'm allowed to say in front of my Christian friends, I don't believe in God, but I have every respect for your right to believe in God and to talk about it. Hello everyone, spot the difference. I could also say all this in the tea room at work. I can tell them I'm an atheist. I can say, well look, I don't actually think Jesus' mum was a virgin, and I'm not going to get sacked. I'm not going to get ostracised. I'm not going to get reported. There's a new religion in town. It's regressive, it's oppressive, and it's cruel, and it brooks no disbelievers. Its disciples are mainly sheep. One could say well-meaning sheep, but it's clergy. It's clergy. They are here to punish our blasphemy. The punishment for blasphemy of this new religion? You will be reported to the police in England and they might even arrest you or come to your house. They will swarm you on social media, calling for you to be stabbed and killed and all sorts of other not very love thy neighbour kind of stuff. Baseball bats are a common theme, painted pink and baby blue, of course. J.K. Rowling, who goes for J.K. Rowling? Go on, boo-boo-boo, yay! She has said she can wallpaper her house with the death threats she has received on social media. That is the nature of this new religion. Now, I want you to hear me for a bit here, but I'm actually going to do a bit of blaspheming. So brace yourself, brothers and sisters and brothers. Here's some blasphemy. And I haven't said this out loud before, and I'm going to lose friends, but it's come to the time of my age where I don't care anymore because this is important. Here comes the blasphemy. Hold on to your hats. Humans cannot change sex. I don't believe it. There is no science to support it. Women don't have penises. And stop the press. I don't identify as a woman. I am a woman. I don't feel like a woman. I am a woman. I don't feel like I have two legs, but I have two legs. I can see them, you can see them, I can stand on them, I can walk with them. On a good day I can break into a bit of a run. If I say to you I don't have two legs, if I say to you I don't believe I have two legs or I shouldn't have been born with two legs, please chop one off for me. You might suggest I need professional help. Teenage girls, terribly thin, saying in the mirror, saying, I'm fat, looking in the mirror. They actually believe they're fat. What do we do with them? Do we give them a subscription to Weight Watchers and gastric band surgery? No, we don't. While I'm on about identifying as oppressed as opposed to being oppressed, I don't identify as a lesbian. I am a lesbian. I've known I was a lesbian since I was 10 years old. Ask my previous partners. Don't ask the one in the 1980s. That was a strange period. I don't need to say anymore. Oh, one last thing to say. Lesbians don't do dick. Now you can say to me, Robin, what happened to live and let live? Here you go. You can identify as anything you want. I support your right to identify as anything you want. You can identify as the opposite sex. You can identify as a furry animal. You can identify as a small ocean-going yacht. I don't care. What you cannot do is expect me to believe it. What you cannot do is tell children that it's true. It is not true. You cannot change sex. And the last thing you cannot do is write your self-identified, your self-perceived identity into our laws, into our legal system. You cannot write your self-perceived identity into our legal system. I've talked about
the nature of this belief system and its blasphemy laws, I'd like to quickly list some actions carried out in the name of this new religion. Girls on GoFundMe raising money to have their breasts removed. GoFundMe call it gender-affirming care. I call it a radical double mastectomy. You used to be able to see how many there were. GoFundMe's a bit cleverer now. It stops at 500 plus. When you could still see how many there were 30,000 young women funding for money to have their breasts removed. There are parents in Australia who have had their daughters removed from their care because those parents, desperate to help their daughters, did not want them to have a double mastectomy, which they may later regret. When did we stop knowing that children are impressionable? They believe all sorts of things. That children and teenagers go through phases, some of which we look back on in embarrassment. I'm not going to share a personal story. I'm not going to go there. Nope. When did we start thinking that tomboys are not girls? Look up teaching materials. Look up your teaching materials in England, America, here, that say to children, you can be born in the wrong body. To children who take adults seriously, autistic children who think in black and white. A little girl who likes boy things. I know you all know this trope. A little boy who likes boy things wants to wear boys' clothes, like me when I was 10 years old. Possibly doesn't fit in, doesn't feel like the other girls. How dare you tell her that she is not a girl? How dare you tell her that she can change into a boy? How dare you lie to that precious little baby dyke? A few more true examples. I would like to quote directly from Joe Biden. We know Joe Biden, the President of the United States of America. Watch the video if you don't believe me. This is what he said. I quote, "In prison, your sexual identity is defined by what you say, not what the prison says." And he went on to say, and in that case, you should be entitled to OBGYN, but he stopped himself there before his brain exploded at the cognitive dissonance required to say that a man in prison who thinks he's a woman is entitled or has anything to do with, here's what OB-GYN is, a branch of medicine that specialises in the care of women during pregnancy and childbirth and in the diagnosis and treatment of diseases of the female reproductive organ. In America, there are men in women's prisons and there's a long queue of men waiting to go into women's prison. A girls' school in Canada recently refused to let their basketball team play a team that had a boy on it. They said, we believe playing against an opponent with a biological male jeopardises the fairness of the game and the safety of our players. Now their entire school is banned from competing anywhere with everyone. That includes spelling bees and science fairs. This new religion allows no blasphemy and the punishment is swift and cruel. I'm not going to tell you about the men who want to play basketball on women's teams. There's one in Victoria at the moment. I don't want to tell you how the studies, the science that actually adds things up, has decided that no amount of hormone suppression removes the physical advantages bestowed on a male by the 20-fold increase in testosterone during that male's puberty. However much testosterone they take, they will have stronger and larger bones, they will have greater muscle mass and higher circulating hemoglobin. That's science. We can prove that. don't want to call people names. I don't want to be like the disciples of that religion. I want to say something to all the men out there who feel like women, who wish to be a woman, and who want to live and who derive comfort and peace in living in the persona of a woman. I support your right to do that. Amongst those men, I do not include the men who are sexually aroused at the thought of being a woman. I do not include you. I do not include, I don't need to hear that, that's all. Okay, but for the other men who know that they are a subset of men, I will support your rights. I will defend your rights to have employment, secure housing, and not have people be offensive to you. I support your right to do that. But I think the exclusion is important. The men who take pleasure in invading women's spaces, I do not include you. I include the men who reject this religion and say, not in my name. Yes, I'm nearly finished. So, everyone please, go out there. Don't be mean. Don't be abusive. But remember, the truth is not mean and facts are not mean. Brothers and sisters, thank you for letting me speak. Kellie-Jay, thank you for organising this. Now go forth and blaspheme. Don't feel that you need to respect the tenets of this new religion because it has no respect for yours. Thank you.
I just want to say my time is all spent on women's rights, so I couldn't give a shiny rat's arse about yours. I just want to remind everyone, do you know what? There's not a single normal-looking heterosexual man in that crowd. And I just want to voice my opposition right now to women who take testosterone, cut their breasts off, and then have children. I think you're abusers. I think it's disgusting bringing a baby into this world and denying that you're their mother. I think it's absolute child abuse. And as your daughter grows up and she asks what happens to her as a woman, you'll just have to say, I hated myself so much. I hated myself so much. That's what you're saying to your daughter. If you want to be a man, don't have children. So abusive. And I want to say to everyone, you can't see this at home, but it's funny as hell. There's a giant bloke, AGP down there, pretending to be a woman, and next to him is the smallest woman I've ever seen, pretending to be a man. And then all around, you've got young women cheerleading their own erasure, and you've got AGPs, every last one of these men in this crowd, pretending to be a woman, is getting a sexual thrill about these little handmaidens doing their bidding. It's usually women on the loudhailer. They hate us because we're old. But I want to tell each and every one of you young women, you will become us. There will come a time where the wrinkles appear on your face, your skin begins to sag, and you will become hated by young women yourselves. And when I'm elderly, I will sit and laugh my arse off. Okay, next. Yes. That's because you're not listening. Can I just say, they're saying we can't hear you. We're not talking to you. We're talking to us. We're talking all across the world.
Do I have to shout?
Right, talk to women all across the world.
Hello. Thank you, Kellie-Jay. I hope I'm speaking loud enough. Yes? Yes? Loud? Right? Okay. Thank you. It seems the baby has been thrown out with the bathwater because the baby has been confused with the bathwater. One cause of this confusion has been the use of words and language. Confusing terminology, abbreviations that lead to lazy thinking and thought-stopping mantras. Language concerns us all because it not only reflects our thinking, it shapes our thinking. And then it describes our thinking and our behaviours, which continues to influence our thinking. Verbal language is used in all our interactions, well, most of them with others, about all kinds of matters. Language does change over time, but language and which words are we talking about? Are changes to language always for the better? Do the changes help us or degrade our social relations? People who have been colonised throughout history, and in saying that, I include women as a sex class in many cultures throughout patriarchal history, have known the manipulation and even erasure of their languages which are intimately connected to the giving and receiving of cultural memory and human relationships with place. Why are the English words girl and woman, which refer specifically to human females, perceived by some groups of people to be so offensive? Why are some organisations replacing sex-specific language with less or non-specific words? Why would anyone want to create confusion about words that refer to our bodies, to our very existence? The word mother is one of the oldest human words in all languages because it refers specifically to the females who have given life to all other human beings throughout human existence on this planet. Abandoning the word mother to placate the discomfort and irritations of some girls and women and some men is an extreme measure, and I do not think we can compare this discomfort to that of the women who have been physically and psychologically constrained, exploited, sometimes to death, throughout the many thousands of years of patriarchal history. Do the young women of today who believe in gender ideologies realise that it may be because of this history that they feel uneasy? The call for neutral or inclusive language. The problem is for urging for neutral or neuter language in every situation is that men and the market continue to benefit. There is a term for this, and it's called phallic drift. Phallic drift is the powerful tendency for public discussion of gender issues
Get to the end of that thing. I want to say goodbye.
to drift inexorably back to the male point of view.
Can I just take
Yes,
1 minute?
sure, thank you.
So long, farewell, happiness and adieu. Bye, bye boys. Bye. Can I just remind all the men there, stay the hell out of women's spaces. Each and every one of you, stay out of women's spaces. All of you. Every last one of you, great big, nasty AGPs, stay out of women's spaces. Stay out of our sports, stay out of our language, stay out of our rights. Leave us alone. I've got meetings with all your politicians. Isn't it unusual men tell
to go home? Like we've never heard that before?
Come back. Come back, they were leaving. So, yeah. This lady's just going to finish.
Little Red Army, aren't you? Little Red Army.
I'm so sorry, I just wanted to... They started to leave.
Yeah, good. Okay, I just want to read this poem for women.
You carry on. I didn't want to interrupt you at all. I just thought they were leaving. You still back here.
Stay out of women's spaces.
Hello. Okay, I just want to read a poem called Speaking Women. And it might be hard because it's inspired by Mary Daly, the wild, witchy, radical feminist. Speaking Women. An illogical fallacy is a method of phallocracy, constructed to distract and to disguise with linguistic exploitation the dehumanization of women and our children. Transgressive humanism's prize. Her harpy hagness Mary, that is Mary Daly, says women indicates a state of natural integrity. In other words, herself, not a construct of phallocracy. But cultural Sado rituals, processed with pomp, approval, along long history's halls, have hence been rendered hazy by mystified reversals which make us very lazy and often very easily enthralled. So we practice our unbinding, remembering and finding our ways as women. We know ourselves as daughters all. Sometimes we are resistors, canny crones and spinning spinsters, harping harpies, learned lesbians, novice nags and shrewd shrews. We dismiss those dictionaries and cockalorum-led processions, becoming snapdragons snapping, women leaping, boundary keeping, protecting women speaking of our views. We reverse reversals, and with wily wise, those cunning, crafty questions, seen as radical and frightening, we terrify cockocracy with our wild Medusa eyes. Mary, her harpy hagness, beholds fallacious thought dressed as right and postmodern policy, modus operandi of Godfather, Son and Company, in snollish metaphysical disguise. Then she bespeaks the background, helping searching women searching, so the truth of women overcomes the lies. And so, to Godfather, Son and Company, in this masculinist economy, we say no to incoherent categories, to rebellent reverse stories, and as speaking women speaking, we will rise. Children's Hospital. Am I good? Back a bit.
Be in front of me.
Good. My husband's written this. I hope that's within the rules. So I'll give you his word because I think they're really important. The men are fighting this as well, and it's really difficult. She's my stepdaughter. I don't have a lot of a voice. But this has impacted our family in ways that I don't think the average person would understand unless we can somehow tell our story. We'd like to share with you our experience of the Women's and Children Gender Clinic here in Adelaide. Between 2019 and 2021, our once very happy and girly daughter had started to become withdrawn and very conscious of her changing body, wearing baggy clothes. Nothing her older sister hadn't done, seemingly normal pre-pubertal behaviour. Around March 2021, at 10 years old, she came out as trans, identifying as a boy, wanting to use a boy's name and pronouns. When I asked why she felt like this way, she said it was because She didn't like the way women are treated. My concern was that this wasn't about gender identity. It was a response to learning what it can mean to be a woman. I wanted her to see a counsellor. Her mother, his ex, preferred to affirm her gender and get a referral to the gender clinic because her reading told her that how you prevent suicide in an adolescent with gender dysphoria. We saw a social worker on the initial intake at the clinic. I asked for a follow-up appointment for my daughter and a phone call so I could air my perspective without my daughter in the room. That appointment and that call never came. In her first 45-minute psychiatric interview, 6 weeks later, I raised the question of motive, of root cause for my daughter's distress. By now well aware that talking about the fear of being a woman wouldn't get her what she wanted, my daughter played it down, emphasising her dysphoria. Eventually, she did say she didn't like the way women are treating, especially that men rape women. Has anything like that ever happened to you? Asked the psychiatrist. Not really, my daughter said. Did this mandatory reporter treat that as a red flag? No, she just suggested my daughter talk to her mum about it and never mentioned it again. At the second 45-minute appointment with the psychiatrist, a diagnosis of gender dysphoria was announced, and in front of my kid, puberty blockers were recommended. When asked for my consent, I said I had concerns, but was cajoled into the next appointment, trying to avoid increasing my own daughter's distress. In the gender clinic's mind, we're in a race against the clock. Now approaching 12 years of age, puberty was around the corner. That my daughter had flipped from identifying for a boy to being gender fluid to non-binary and was on the third name change was of no concern. There was no effort to explore family dynamics, developmental history and pre-existing mental health conditions and all that other stuff in the AusPath guidelines. The clock was ticking for them. At the next appointment with a paediatrician, the puberty blocker fact sheet was summarised for us. The only risks to be worried about, apparently, were bone density loss, unknown outcomes for height, and a sore arm. That's it. And can you please sign here and we'll proceed? All in front of the child. When I asked about the other risks on the fact sheet, the hot flushes, tiredness, mood changes, the unknown short and long-term effects on social and cognitive development, I was told there was not enough data. Why is there not enough data? Because there's never been a controlled study into the use of puberty blockers for the treatment of gender dysphoria. The drug company does not list gender dysphoria as one of the conditions the drug is intended to treat. Its use for this purpose is off-label and therefore experimental. Had enough information been divulged for informed consent? Hell no. Especially making sure the 11-year-old knew what she was agreeing to. The consent form asked for her to sign it. When I asked for a treatment plan, I learnt that the women's and children's idea of ongoing mental health support and mine were poles apart. Once a month psych appointments, once every 2 months, try an assessment once every 6 months, and we recommend patients obtain private counselling. In short, the gender clinic is delivering treatment for which it isn't resourced to provide the necessary ongoing support, even though they said they provide ongoing mental health support in a recent statement to a member of the South Australian Legislative Council. They've said that out loud and they lied. There is no ongoing mental health support for children going to the gender clinic. My husband was excluded from the next psychiatric appointment, whether by his daughter's mother or by the clinic or both, we'll never know. By now, he'd submitted in writing that he didn't consent to the treatment. From my understanding of the AusPath guidelines and any information I could track down on the internet, I thought this would mean court authorisation would be needed for them to proceed. But no. The issue was escalated to the Women's and Children's Ethics Committee, who authorised treatment to proceed without my consent. That's right, to stop my daughter receiving experimental treatment I would have to take it to a federal court. I sought legal advice, and that advice said I'd be wasting my time and tens of thousands of dollars to do so. The family court could be expected to request a second opinion, and that second opinion would come from the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne, our foremost proponents in gender-affirming care. In the end, it was my husband who had to sit down with his 11-year-old daughter and ensure she understood the risks. He read her the fact sheet line by line, took her through the drug company literature, explained what osteoporosis means, explained what it means to not able to experience an orgasm. At 11, I told her again that there's a broad spectrum of femininity, that female puberty is daunting but transformative, and that I would fully support her in that journey of self-discovery, but please don't let them use drugs to interfere with that process. In the end, the day before the first injection, my daughter decided not to proceed. Adore him. Adore him. Within days, her sleep and anxiety levels improved. The cutting and the talk of suicide stopped. Today, our daughter identifies as non-binary, goes by a gender-fluid name, her fourth name in 2 years, uses they, them pronouns. They continue to develop in their own unique way, and I'll always love them for whoever they are. But we dodged a bullet, there's no doubt about it. In October 2019, the National Association of Practicing Psychiatrists wrote to the then Federal Minister, Mr. Greg Hunt, requesting a parliamentary inquiry into the treatment of gender dysphoria in Australia. In their words, not mine, the current approach to the treatment of gender dysphoria in children and adolescents under the age of 18 has become a controversial subject within the medical community. Today, I call on our current Federal Health Minister, the Honourable Mr. Mark Butler MP, to follow through on that request. Our gender clinics have allowed ideology to overtake their duty of care and the guiding principle to first do no harm, and our children deserve better.
For those of you walking past, for those police on duty, for some of you that don't know the arguments, the reason we're here is because we just don't want men in women's spaces. And we don't care how they identify. And we know that no matter how men identify, they pose the same risk to women and girls and other men as all other men. Just because you take some hormones or put a dress on, you don't cease to become a risk to women and girls and children. What's happening in this country is you literally are sterilising children, and you're championing the people that do it. And there are men behind who still stayed by. There's AGPs, very powerful, some of them, autogynephiles, which means they're sexually aroused by themselves as women. And they are using children and vulnerable teenagers and children with autism diagnoses. They are using them as human shields, so we don't remind everybody that they are fetishists. They're the same as someone wearing a rubber dog suit and being led around a lead at Pride. They are fetishists. And when we ask ourselves, what would someone do who's got a fetish? Well, actually, some men join the clergy for their whole life so they could rape children. When somebody has a proclivity to commit some sort of sexual act, like autogynephile, when they have that consumes their every movement, their every moment. They will give up the use of a functioning penis in order to satisfy their fetish. And now they're using your children, and they go online. If your kids are still on Discord or using Roblox, cut the internet off. There are predatory paedophiles on those places, undetectable by you, and they are targeting your children. It's really common. I met a couple in Sydney. Their daughter had been groomed within 10 months of lockdown. And your lockdowns were very harsh. Your kids were online a lot. And in that time, they were in social media type chats, Discord. It's not where we adults go. But it is where the predators go. And they know which children to target. The lonely, the friendless, the isolated, the children with autism. Those kids that don't really fit in with their peers, they will target your children. They will draw them into the cult. Especially your girls. There's nothing more an autogynephile likes than a girl mutilating her body, a body that he wants that he can't have. So you really do have to be mindful. You have to know what's going on at school. You have to know what's going on in Parliament. In Western Australia, they talk about babies having a sexuality from 0 till 2. It's in government literature. If you go on my Twitter, you can see the pages. Sexuality, children touching themselves, being sexual, under 2 years old. It is a really, really terrifying agenda. Yes.
You're very, very welcome.
Thank you, Kelly. My name's Jacinta. I'm a mother and a grandmother. And I did that because I'm a woman and my husband is a man. Thank you, Peter, for being that man. Well, here I am again, 40 years on from when I last stood up for women's rights against men who believed they could invade our space, attack us, and blamed it on what we wore and the fact that we could be out walking on our own at night. There was no safe space for women then, and we appear to be heading that way again. And whose fault is it? Well, I guess we just got a little too complacent. Women have got to wake up to what is happening around us and understand that this problem is being created by our own governments, supported by the media. We are being played. How often do we hear that there has to be equal quotas of men and women in positions in business, government, corporations, etc. This is not based on anyone's competency, but on keeping women quiet and under control. I find the act of giving women positions because of their gender so belittling, so condescending to us. Surely as women, we really want positions that we deserve in our own right, not by some government handout. We are expected to share our space with men who say they identify as a woman. Well, I do not give a damn. You are a man, and you will always be. So no, I do not want you in my space. Again, we are being played by our governments, who are supported by the media. We are being told that these people can self-ID as to what gender they are, and governments are enabling and enacting this rubbish. And we are supposed to sit and accept that? Well, I for one do not. So who is causing this crap? Well, the people inside this building, supported by the manipulating media. Today's women are being manipulated. I am concerned for the women of today. They are so trusting of those who do not deserve their trust. Come on, people, stand up for yourself, your children, and their children before it's too late. Scream from the rooftops. This behaviour that we are seeing today is not normal. Governments and media worldwide are the problem, and I, for one, have had enough. Come on, people, it's time to stand up. Come on, women, let's hear you roar.
Okay. Next. Don't know, why is yours long?
No, I was going to keep it short for that
Okay,
reason.
yeah, great.
Thanks, everybody. The hospital said they had to be back by 1:30, so they've chopped off now. Gee, they look so unwell, all of them. I really thought that these people were going to be intimidating and scary, and I actually just felt really sad. Like, I look at these people and I think, this is not a fruitful, happy life. This is not fulfilling. I mean, a lot of us here might be mothered. That's fulfilling. This anger is clearly there's something wrong. And some of the behaviour too that we've seen from some of the men wearing women as a costume in the audience, they reveal themselves, right? They stand there in a stature that would only be taken by a man. They use intimidating tactics that, honey, your male is showing. So it's really, really disturbing. I thought I feel really empathetic, but to some of them, I saw one of these men, when the women were saying, stay out of our spaces, mouth, no, I won't. And it's just so emblematic of how a man would behave. Now, women, we always try and make everybody feel comfortable. We try and, see things from other people's perspectives. We want to make ourselves smaller. I mean, these are all the things that I've heard the feminist movement talking about. Women, no, take your place. Women, make your space. And it's just funny to me, they reveal themselves. So that intimidating behaviour, it's got male written all over it. We see you, we can identify you. And the thing that I think is really, really sad for these people is they're being lied to. They have people surrounding them telling them that nobody can tell. You pass, honey. You got it. No, you don't. We spot you from a mile away. We don't want you in our spaces. That's all we ask. I don't care if you want to dress in a dress. I don't care what you want to do. All I want is for the children, for the vulnerable people. I spent my time in my work life with the most vulnerable communities. They deserve to feel safe. Anyway, I'll wrap it up. But seeing that display today solidified everything that I thought I knew. I know that we're on the right side. I know that if we keep talking and if we keep speaking and we take our space and we don't let men intimidate us into not speaking, this will make a difference. So thank you. Thank you, Kellie-Jay.
Can I also say, it doesn't matter, if you worry about what the media is saying, whilst it's difficult when they routinely defame, get their information from Wikipedia, particularly about me, what normally happens is someone will read it and then my name will just be something and then they'll look me up and then they'll find out that the media has lied and then everyone loses faith in the media and then people stop reading that media and then that media stops being able to advertise and then they go bust and everyone's out of a job. So I would absolutely beg of people in the media, I'm a women's rights campaigner. I'm not anti-trans. I will not be described upon the things that don't mean anything to me. Trans doesn't mean anything. It usually means men wanting to invade women's spaces and women that everybody ignores anyway. Nobody talks about trans men. Nobody's interested about women growing a beard. We don't care. We just want those men, no matter how they identify, to stay out of women's spaces. We want this government to stop saying it's okay to sterilise children. And even if your kid isn't in this cult, it is. Because when the teacher starts teaching the children at school that there are multiple genders, that biological sex doesn't really matter, even if your kid knows better, they become an outcast in their own social group because they might be the only child that can tell the truth. And what we are raising now is a whole generation of children that cannot recognise the truth because the most fundamental things, that a man is a man, a woman is a woman, that your genitals denote what sex you are, they are being told that that is not true. And therefore, they have no fabric of solid truth to actually stand on, and we all need to stand against it. So I'm saying to those people who live in Melbourne, we're going to be there outside of Parliament at 12 o'clock on Saturday. If you care, you must come. Next. Who else do you want to speak?
Hi everybody. I had actually no plan to speak, but then I was interviewed by the media and I thought I better speak. I am a woman. So this, as we know, is more than just this situation. It is part of dividing us. I also do not care if they are trans. You can do what you like behind closed doors. But politicians and media at the moment are wanting to divide us by not talking about the real science and the real situation. Why? The question is, why are they doing that? They won't answer us. They refuse to answer the question, what is a woman? We have fought for years and years for our rights to be a woman. And I'm not going to let that go. Because how can a woman compete in sport? When you've got MMA fighters that are huge, fighting a woman who's finally in sport and kicking ass, how are we going to compete with that? We can't. So I just wanted to say that I'm here as a woman and let's protect women's rights and parents' rights. Parents in Victoria can't even speak to their children and they get criminal fines. That's not right, that's not family. As a child, I played with my brother in the sandpit. I played with trucks. Does that mean then that where we are now that I would have been given drugs? I'm clearly a female. And my brother dressed up and I made him play in clothes too. And we played tea. It's normal children behaviour. Let's have an honest conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Oh, I'm so stoked. What a lovely t-shirt.
I know. Thank you very much. It's a frightening 2 sizes too small, but I'm wearing it anyway. I did have a speech prepared. Obviously, I've left it on my kitchen counter at home. So I'll keep it short too, because I am actually having a hot flush. Do you know what that is, guys? Don't think so, right? So anyway, I just wanted to say that today is day 17,885 of being a female. I do not have 12 million followers. I do not have an audience with Anthony Albanese in Canberra. I do not make $200,000 a month for clicks. I do not have Tampax and Ulta Beauty beating down my door to sign me up for a lucrative sponsorship deal. I am an Indigenous woman, and as an Indigenous person, I make up 3.5% of Australia. But as a woman, I make up over 50%. So I am here today to say to the lads in Canberra and the lads in Adelaide, ignore us at your own peril. Thank you, Kellie-Jay. Been watching you for years. Love you. Thank you for the t-shirt. And thank you, Adelaide, for turning out. Very proud of you.
Okay, any more people, not penis hunters, any more women? Yes.
Lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I'm going to just pin this up here.
Oh,
So everyone at home can hear you.
Great. Really close?
Yeah.
Yeah? Cool. So no speech written, but what I want to say is I really worry for the minds of people who are going along with this, because eventually when this other shoe drops, you will have 2 options. You will either be able to claim that you were a moron or a maniac. You can either claim that you had no idea what the fuck was happening, or you can say, oh yeah, I totally understood, but I didn't care anyway. I don't know if I could deal with that mentally, so that will be interesting to see how other people try to deal with that. And I also want to ask to these people, where is your time machine? You can't just put a man in a woman's prison, he assaults her, and then you go, oh whoopsies, we've now learned a lesson. Because where is your time machine? How do you unrape her? That's it.
Very short. Anyone else? Yes.
Can't believe I'm doing this.
Go on, you can do it. It's easy. It's easy. You just open your gob. Yeah. I'm going to stand a little bit.
Hello. Apparently I'm a TERF. Don't know how that happened. But I've realised that all you really need to do to be a TERF is to comprehend the reality of, material reality of sex, and to be willing to say so. That's it. That's all it takes. I became a TERF in 2019 when I saw what inclusion in women's sports looked like. A male weightlifter who identifies as a woman, Laurel Hubbard, on top of the podium at the Pacific Games. Samoan teenager, Vigega Stowers, came second that day. Stowers is a survivor of male violence. She took up weightlifting as part of her rehabilitation while she was living at the Samoa Victim Support Group. Stowers was so good, she won the Commonwealth Games in 2018. Hubbard was injured. But she was beaten at the 2019 Pacific Games by a male with all the biological advantages that confers, who was born into a wealthy family and who competed against and took places from women. Vigea's story tells the real world consequences of gender identity trumping all else, including race, class, and specifically sex, because this is a one-way street. Inclusion only benefits men, or male athletes, I should say. Hubbard ended up qualifying for the Tokyo Olympics along with 2 other male athletes who competed in women's competitions, but no female athletes competed in men's events. What a shocker. Instead, 3 women missed out on competing for their countries at the Olympics because 3 men said they felt like women, and their sporting federations and the IOC said, well, alrighty then. And I have 2 things to say about testosterone suppression. One is it doesn't work. It doesn't negate the male physiological advantages acquired at puberty. And 2, the idea that if a male athlete takes performance-inhibiting drugs, his performance can become as bad as a woman's is about as sexist as it gets. Women are not testosterone-deprived men. We're not seeking to erase anyone, and we're not participating in genocide. We are arguing against the amorphous and unverifiable concept of gender identity, replacing the material reality of sex in law and policy. We are arguing against the abolition of sex. And what does the abolition of sex look like apart from sports? Abolishing sex allows male criminals to be referred to as women in the media and legal system. Abolishing sex prevents vulnerable women from being able to access single-sex spaces like change rooms, toilets, and rape crisis centres when they need them. And the reason they need them is male violence. Abolishing sex disallows lesbians from excluding males from their spaces and sees lesbians described as sexual racists when they refuse males as sexual partners. Because if men can be women, then men can also be lesbians. Abolishing sex means that disabled and elderly women cannot choose a carer of the same sex for their intimate care. Abolishing sex enables fully intact male prisoners to be housed in the female prison estate. And prioritising gender identity over sex results in children believing that if their gender identity doesn't match their sex bodies, then they might have been born in the wrong body, and they may need to be medically corrected. Greatly overrepresented in this fast-growing patient cohort are gender non-conforming kids, gay, lesbian and bisexual young people, traumatised and abused children, children in care, and children on the autism spectrum. In every country that a review of the evidence supporting paediatric affirmation transition has been carried out, the medical affirmation model has been abandoned. We need to do this here too. Call me old-fashioned, but I do not believe that gender non-conformity needs fixing. So if you have a problem with any of this, as I do, I've got some bad news for you. You might also be a TERF. Thank you. Oh,
well done.
Yes, thank you.
Any other women? Yes. focus on you. Thank you so much. And if you step back, just a step.
Just here.
That'd be lovely.
Hi everyone, my name is Carol. I'm a lesbian and I'm a grandmother. I raised my granddaughter, who's 14, along with her mother, and she is the joy of my life. But according to her, I am a transphobe because I say human beings cannot change sex. I am a transphobe because I say lesbians do not have a penis. I am a transphobe because I say non-binary is nonsense. These are all facts, and she has been lied to. I have fought all my life for women's rights and for lesbian rights. Ultimately, for my granddaughter and her life in the future, which I won't be part of. And it breaks my heart. It absolutely breaks my heart that all those young women out there, she could be one of them. Lots of young women out there, they know not what they do, and it breaks my heart. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else, a woman? That'll be the people with vaginas. You know, women. Anybody else? Yeah, did you finish? Did you not finish? No. Oh, yeah.
She woke up. Oh,
There's
no,
a lady here. Come, and then you can finish. If you're walking past, we are discussing the controversial issue that women don't have penises. I don't know if you've heard about it. And I don't know if you know, but if you go to your maternity services here in Australia, you're called a birthing person. You chest feed. You're a menstruator. A cervix haver. And if you're postmenopausal, they just call you angry.
Sorry. I'm usually up here running rallies.
Oh,
so I thought I can't be.
No. Back.
Okay. Hey, I'm often up here running rallies myself for the freedom movement, but I'm also a mother of 4 daughters, and I birthed them all through my vagina, and I breastfed them. I clocked up more than 10 years of breastfeeding. Nobody's taken away my breasts. Nobody's neutralising the role of women as childbirthers, as mothers, as the key person, as the only gender capable of becoming pregnant, sustaining pregnancy. All right. Women are the most marginalised people in society. Why these men want to identify as a woman is actually beyond me. You know, there's no more abused sector of the population. Our rights have been removed steadily for years. There's not a bloody teenage vagina in the land that isn't shaved these days, and I find that extremely disturbing for starters. Not that I plan to say that out loud. The thing that really disturbs me as a mother, as a birther, is that is the most powerful role for a woman to have, is to birth a child. So I've been involved actively with the Home Birth Network and then vaccination information. I've been an activist all my life. So home birth, when I was involved in, that's nearly 30 years ago, we had an alarming caesarean section rate of 33%. I just want to share that it's up to 50% now. It was supposed to be going in the other direction. Women were supposed to be more empowered and have better birth choices. Instead, it is everything about a birthing woman now is a struggle. Fertility is a struggle. They've taken care of that with Gardasil vaccine. They've taken care of neutralising our young daughters, right? Messing with their menstrual cycles, absolutely impinging on their fertility. And what that didn't deliver got finalised, finished off by COVID vaccines. It is such a struggle. And now the thing that disturbs me very much as a birthing mother, that baby was close to me. My babies were close to me. They were very close to me. I was a sole parent. I came out of domestic violence. I didn't have any money, but I stayed home with my children. I had to stay home with my children. Now to see children ripped from their mother's breasts at 6 months so that they can re-enter the workforce, to provide taxpayers' funds to run a government that does this kind of shit. You are duped, people. You have been absolutely duped and robbed. We need to take back our women's rights, our mothers' rights. We have 2 X chromosomes. It is biological. Dear God, we need to fight for women. We need to fight for our children. We need to keep them close and out of their hands. Every child is different. Every child will find their own path in this life, given all of the right opportunities. They don't need grooming. They need to make their own minds up. They need nurturing and they need trust and they need love. Not handing over to an institution from the age of 6 months. We need to look at this. Sorry, lovey.
No, it's all right. You just cut your own head off on the thing. Did I?
Yeah. Put my hand over.
No, it's fine.
Okay. Cheers. All right.
Can I just, 1 minute before you start. Some of the politicians or overpaid people in this building started waving the pride flag when women are speaking about women's rights. Nothing tells me that this movement is a men's rights movement. The TRA movement, the transgender movement, is nothing more than a men's sexual rights movement, neatly illustrated by opposing us with rainbow flags. The rainbow had stopped representing lesbians a really long time ago, if it ever did. The only reason LGB got anywhere is because of gay men. If it was just a movement about protecting lesbians, it never would have got anywhere, because nobody cares. So thank you to the politicians in here, just neatly illustrating for all of us, the reason we feel the boots on our necks when we see, especially the progressive, racist, pride flag these days. Nothing tells us that we're totally right, that when we're asking for our space and our rights and our language, that they wave their flags out of the window.
Thank you. Thank you.
I firmly believe that if I had been born 10 years later, I would have caught this social contagion. I was born in the late 80s and I grew into a bit of a tomboy. I loathed the thought of puberty. I started dieting at 13 to prevent getting a period. I hated my breast buds and I imagined a machine that would suck them away. I even wished I'd been born a boy. But all of that normal teenage angst passed. I love being a woman and I'm so glad I was able to breastfeed my daughter. Unfortunately, many parents are seduced by the social status points you gain in admiring the Emperor's new clothes, and they believe they are on the side of kindness. But it is not kind to put the feelings and fetishes of men above the safety of women and children. You would have to be very naive to think a predator would not look at self-ID laws and smile. It is also not kind to affirm delusions. My pre-puberty dieting evolved into bulimia. I was convinced I was overweight when I wasn't. Imagine if the be kind thing to do was to affirm my self-perception. Maybe I had a fat soul. Should I have identified as obese? I'm lucky I was born in the 80s when girls threw up their food instead of cutting off their breasts. What the Be Kind Brigade omit from their message is the or else. The kindness of these people is conditional. While people have the right to believe in it, they do not have the right to speak. We must. Courage begets courage. Slow.
Yes. Oh. Okay. Any other women? Any other women? Yes.
Woman? Are just being imposed top down on us by our governments. It is being imposed. Would you vote for this? No. Stand up and fight back. Tell your... We will fight this and we...
Women that want to speak? Okay, anyone with a penis? I want to say thank you to the local organisers in Adelaide. You've been amazing. Thank you to the stewards. I know as many of us aren't activists. It's people in power. It's the global, it's Big Pharma getting a patient from the age of 4 right the way through till death, which will be earlier than most of us because these drugs are dangerous. Disagree on nearly everything, but you are united on this one issue. And come out and be counted, even when you know you will be outnumbered and intimidated, then I promise we will win. I never lose. Okay, well, we're done. We're done. I don't know how to turn that off. Yes.